Okay, let's unpack this. Today we are diving into a single, um, really focused account from back in 1961. It's a near-death experience in NDE after a drowning incident.
Right.
And our mission really is to try and understand why this story, which comes from a man who was only 12 at the time, is kind of defined by what it doesn't have.
Exactly. It's fascinating because, when people usually talk about NDEs, you expect certain things.
Yeah, the usual stuff.
Tunnels, bright lights, maybe meeting relatives who've passed on, that feeling of overwhelming peace.
Yeah.
Well, this experience, it has none of that, none of those classic hallmarks.
So why look at it then?
Well, it's compelling because it's different. It forces us, I think, to look again at the psychological edges of what happens near death.
Yeah.
Main thing here isn't some big spiritual reveal.
Oh.
No, it's actually about a mystery, a personal mystery that's lasted for, well, over half a century for this person.
A mystery is basically this. He's 12, can't swim, he's alone, and he sinks in this incredibly deep pool, like 18 feet deep.
Yeah.
He has this really vivid internal thing happen, and then the next thing he knows, somehow he's lying beside the pool, out of the water.
Miraculously, yeah.
But he remembers getting in. What he has zero memory of, absolutely none, is how he physically got out.
And that gap, that missing piece, has apparently haunted him for decades.
All right, so let's set the scene for you. We're talking Argentina, 1961. It's Sunday around noon.
And culturally at that time, Sunday noon meant one thing. Big family lunch, everyone was inside, gathered together.
Which meant the pool, this huge Olympic-sized pool where he was completely deserted.
Totally empty, no lifeguard on duty, no other kids splashing around, nobody watching at all.
It's kind of the perfect storm, isn't it, for something dangerous?
It really was a terrible setup. So this boy, 12 years old, healthy kid but couldn't swim.
Right, a non-swimmer.
He'd seen other kids jumping into the deep end feet first, and he just decided to copy them.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, not realizing that deep end was, like you said, 6 meters,
Yeah.
a staggering 18 feet down.
And he sinks and realizes pretty much instantly he's made a terrible mistake.
He's running out of air fast, can't push off the sides, can't get up.
Okay, so panic stations, right, you'd think.
You would think. But here's where his account starts to get really unusual right from the start.
How so?
When he looked back on it later, reflecting on his state of mind during those moments, underwater, running out of air,
Yeah.
he reported his level of consciousness, his alertness, as being, quote, no different than normal.
Normal. While drowning. That seems counterintuitive.
It really does. I mean, we have to pause here. Psychologically, is that even possible? You're facing imminent death, oxygen deprivation is setting in.
You'd expect panic, sheer terror, maybe dissociation.
Exactly. Fight or flight, something heightened, or maybe that kind of mental checking out that trauma can cause. But no, he explicitly said he felt no real emotion.
No emotion.
He said none. I think I was very calm, and he confirmed specifically it wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't distressing either. No peace, no joy.
Wow, okay, so no peace or joy, which you sometimes hear about in NDEs, may be linked to lack of oxygen.
Precisely. People talk about euphoria sometimes, not here. His mind was apparently lucid just, operating normally, almost detached, right up until he lost consciousness.
That calmness is just.
Yeah.
It's the first big puzzle piece, isn't it?
It really is. The physical terror should logically override everything, but it didn't seem to.
So, if his emotional state was sort of neutral, what was his mind doing? You mentioned a vivid internal event.
Right. So his lucid dying mind was processing something. And this brings us to that famous NDE element, the life review.
Ah, okay. So he did have a life review.
He did, yes. But again, maybe not quite in the way it's often described.
How was it different?
He saw clear pictures of parts of my life, that's how he put it, and they flashed before me out of my control.
So not his whole life, just parts.
Just parts, it seems. Not that sort of comprehensive, cinematic replay some people report, where they re-experience events or feel judged.
No moral dimension to it.
He didn't report one. It sounded more like a slideshow, uncontrollable, selective moments from his past flashing by.
And what about his thoughts during this? Did he recall anything specific?
It's fascinating, actually. Despite that reported calm, there was one tiny flicker of external worry. The very last conscious thought he remembers having.
What was it? Was it profound? About God or life?
Not at all. It was incredibly practical, almost mundane, rooted entirely in being a 12-year-old boy.
Go on.
His last thought was, what are my parents going to say when they find me dead?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's very much a kid's thought, isn't it? Worrying about getting told off even then.
Exactly. It sort of connects the physiological stress back to his everyday reality, even in that extreme moment.
Okay, so his mind was calm, processing these life flashes. What about his senses? Physically, what was happening as the oxygen depleted?
Well, this is another really striking part of the account. The sensory experience, it became almost hyper-real.
Hyperreal.
He mentioned that hearing wasn't really applicable, obviously, being underwater, but his vision, he said his vision became incredibly more vivid than usual.
More vivid while drowning.
Yeah. He actually gives this quote in the source material that's just, well, it's staggering. He says, "I never saw my life as vividly as when I was underwater."
Wait, so the image is flashing back.
Yeah.
His life review memories, they were clearer, more vivid then in that state than they were when he actually lived them.
That's what he reports. Think about that. The physical process of dying, when you'd expect senses to shut down, dim, instead for him it produced this state of heightened visual reality, hyperclarity.
That is a huge puzzle piece, scientifically. Peak visual processing happening right when.
Right when everything should be failing. And it happened alongside the complete absence of all that other stuff we talked about.
Right, you said no tunnel, no light.
Correct. The source is very clear. No brilliant light, no tunnel, no feeling of entering some otherworldly place. Absolutely no encounters with any beings, not angels, not deceased relatives, nobody.
So it's like the opposite of a profound spiritual journey.
In many ways, yes. He reported gaining zero special knowledge. Nothing about life's purpose, or the meaning of it all, or God, or what happens after death.
Did his own background influence what he saw? He was Catholic, right?
He was Christian Catholic, yes. And he did say the content of the life review wasn't inconsistent with his beliefs at the time. But crucially, he wasn't sure if he remembered seeing any specific religious imagery within the flashbacks themselves.
So it was just his life.
Yeah.
Visually enhanced, but stripped of any, divine commentary or meaning.
Pretty much. Just a review. Incredibly vivid, but without metaphysical significance attached in the moment.
Which brings us then to the big one, the central mystery. The moment the internal experience stopped and the memory just breaks.
Exactly. The experience ends, he loses consciousness, presumably, and the very next thing he is consciously aware of is lying face down on the concrete edge of the pool, right where he jumped in.
He's out.
He's out. He lifts his head, realizes where he is, and just starts to cry. Understandably.
And the key detail here, the one that really drives this whole thing.
The absolute crucial detail. He looked around, and there was still no one around me or in the pool.
Still alone.
Still completely alone. He went in alone. He was, by all accounts, unconscious underwater. Yet somehow, he came out alone.
A non-swimmer.
Yeah.
In water 18 feet deep, unconscious from lack of oxygen.
And somehow, he not only got out, but climbed up the side and ended up lying on the edge.
And he remembers none of it.
Not a single thing. He states he has no recollection at all as to how I got out of the pool or how I ended up lying at the edge. It's a total blank.
That memory gap isn't just the side note, is it? It's become like the defining feature of this whole event for him.
Absolutely. The source material says he thinks about it, focuses on this question, trying to figure out what could possibly have happened nearly every day.
Well, for over 50 years, imagine carrying that. The psychological weight of that missing time must be immense.
It's extraordinary because the mind remembers the lead up, the terror, the descent into unconsciousness with that incredible hyper-vivid clarity we talked about.
Right, crystal clear.
But the moment of rescue, the physical act of salvation, completely wiped, gone.
Why would that happen? Psychologically, what could explain that?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a remarkable display of, well, is it selective memory repression? Amnesia?
Like blocking out the trauma.
Possibly, but why preserve the memory of nearly dying with such detail but erase the successful resolution of that crisis? Was the rescue itself somehow the most traumatic part? Maybe an intervention he couldn't process?
Or maybe just the physical effort involved. Maybe that was the final stage of oxygen starvation, causing a complete memory wipe for that period.
It could be physiological amnesia related to the anoxia. Absolutely, we don't know. But the selectivity is what's so striking.
And adding to the weight of it all, he couldn't even talk about it.
No, because his parents had strictly forbidden him from going near that pool in the first place.
Ah, right. So he'd be in huge trouble.
Exactly. So he kept it completely secret, never told anyone at the time. Can you imagine being 12, going through that and having to hold it all in?
That's a heavy burden for a kid.
Immense. He only finally shared the full story years and years later with his wife and kids, apparently just several years ago.
So we're talking maybe 50 years of silence.
Around that, yes. 50 years of carrying that vivid memory and that profound blank spot.
And the impact it had on him long term. Did it change him?
It seems so. Despite all that time and maybe repression, he says he still recalls the experience itself more accurately than other life events from that period of his life.
It's locked in.
Yeah, he says, when I close my eyes, I can see myself in the water. That underwater memory is just crystallized.
Yeah.
Permanently there, but permanently unfinished.
Did it leave him fearful? Or did it have any positive effects?
Interestingly, yes, a lasting sense of maybe protection. He feels he's been very lucky during my whole life, as if I am protected.
So it instilled a belief in some kind of guardian presence, even without seeing anything.
It seems that way, a sense of being watched over, born from that inexplicable survival.
But there's a flip side too, right?
There is. He also mentioned a lingering feeling of regret, that he hasn't done enough, hasn't contributed to influencing others in a better way.
So it gave him a sense of purpose, maybe?
Yeah.
But without clear instructions.
Kind of like a quiet mission, perhaps. But because the NDE itself offered no divine guidance, no message, unlike some other accounts,
Right.
he was left with this feeling of needing to do something, but maybe without the spiritual clarity on what that should be. It's a sense of purpose born purely from surviving, not from revelation.
So let's step back and try to summarize. We've got this NDE account that's powerful because it's defined by intense physical reality.
Yeah, hyper-vivid vision, reported normal consciousness, the life review happening.
But it's completely missing those spiritual or mystical elements people often associate with NDEs. No peace, no light, no tunnel, no beings, no sense of cosmic understanding.
None of that. And the absolute core conflict, the thing that remains, is the structure of the memory itself.
Oh, so?
You have the subject reporting calmness during the actual drowning crisis.
Oh, that's already strange.
Right, and yet the mind somehow completely erased the memory of the physical exit, the rescue part. How he got from unconscious underwater to safe on the edge.
So the memory is like super accurate about the terrifying part.
Hyper accurate, hyper vivid about the descent into crisis.
And a total absolute blank about the resolution, the getting out part.
Exactly, simultaneously sharp and empty.
It really leads us with a fascinating question, doesn't it? And maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. When the brain is under that extreme stress, starved of oxygen, and it's reviewing life with this incredible, unusual clarity, what does the total erasure of the physical rescue mean?
Is it a psychological defense? You know, deep repression, selective amnesia because the event itself, the rescue, was somehow too traumatic or inexplicable to retain.
Or does that complete blank hint at something else? Maybe a moment of intervention, something that happened that just defied his brain's ability to process and record it in the normal physical way.
The mind remembers the near-death part perfectly. But the rescue, the moment of life returning, is lost forever.
What aspect of that paradox, that simultaneous clarity and blankness, stands out most to you?
Thank you for listening to Borrowed Time NDE Podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a moment of inspiration. Until next time, wishing you an extraordinary and truly wonderful time on your journey through life.